He used to wake up before dawn, long before the city stirred, long before hope had a chance to argue with doubt. On his small wooden desk lay stacks of law books, their pages yellowed from years of rereading, the margins crowded with notes written by a man who refused to give up. Every morning he whispered the same prayer, "Lord, please, just let me pass this time." He was a lawyer by education, but not by title. 10 times he stood before the bar exam. 10 times he walked out carrying nothing but silence. The first result came like a gentle slap. "You didn't pass." The words hung in the air, but people quickly tried to sweep them away. "It's okay," they told him. "Many people fail the first time." His wife smiled and said, "We'll try again next year." His son, still too young to understand the weight of that failure, hugged him tightly, and he believed them. He believed it was just a stumble, so he studied harder. He sacrificed more hours, more sleep, more time with his family. By the second failure, the smile on his wife's face grew a little thinner. By the third, neighbors began to ask uncomfortable questions, their voices laced with a mix of pity and judgment. Still studying for that exam, they'd ask, and the question felt like a small, sharp stone thrown at his chest. By the fourth failure, he started avoiding family gatherings. He couldn't bear the silent looks, the whispered conversations that stopped the moment he entered a room. By the fifth failure, his confidence, once a solid shield, had started to crack. Each exam followed the same painful, exhausting routine, sleepless nights fueled by cold coffee and fading hope. His hands trembling as he filled in the answer sheet, a silent, desperate prayer before submitting his booklet. And then, the inevitable result failure. After every soul-crushing notification, he'd lock himself in the bathroom, staring at his reflection in the mirror, searching for an answer in his own tired eyes. He'd whisper to the man staring back, "Why, God? I did everything right. I studied every page. I sacrificed everything." The sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth failures felt different. Hope wasn't just fading anymore. It had become heavy, a burden he dragged with him every single day. Those law books, once symbols of his ambition, now felt like chains binding him to a dream that was slowly turning into a nightmare. His prayers turned from pleas into anger. "Why do you keep denying me?" he shouted one night, alone in the dark, his voice swallowed by the silence of the house. He felt the unfairness of it all coursing through him. His wife never complained, not once. She continued to support him, to believe in him, but he felt it the crushing weight of being a burden. He saw the sacrifices she was making, the dreams she was putting on hold for his. He stopped attending his son's school events, convinced that his presence would only bring shame. He stopped looking people in the eye, afraid of what he might see there, pity, disappointment, or worse, contempt. To make ends meet, he accepted small, menial jobs in the legal field, the kind of work that scraped the bottom of the barrel. He drafted notarized documents, he researched cases for other lawyers. These were the same lawyers who had once studied beside him, who had struggled with the same textbooks, but who now wore the title he could not claim. He made promises to God, bargaining with the universe, begging for just one chance to prove himself. He put every last ounce of his being into that final attempt. When the results came, he didn't open the email right away. He just stared at the subject line on his screen. He didn't need to open it. He already knew failure. This time, it wasn't just disappointment. Something inside him died. That tiny, stubborn flame of hope that had flickered for a decade was finally extinguished. As he slid it into the back of a closet, he whispered to himself, "I'm done." He became a house husband. He stayed home. He cooked. He cleaned. He picked his son up from school. At first, shame followed him everywhere. It was a constant shadow that made him feel smaller every single day. He saw the judgment in the eyes of other parents at the school gate. He felt like a man without purpose, a ghost in his own life. But then something strange happened. In the quiet solitude of the kitchen, while chopping vegetables and stirring pots simply to distract himself from the noise in his head, he felt a sense of calm. He started following recipes from old cookbooks he had secretly loved but never dared to pursue, books about cuisine and flavors that had always fascinated him. He began to experiment. He improved. He perfected it. The kitchen became his sanctuary, a place where there were no exams, no failures, only creation. His wife noticed the aroma of his cooking filled the house, and with it, a new kind of warmth. His son noticed, his face lighting up at dinner time. One day, his wife had an idea. A local restaurant was holding a blind taste test to find a new cook. Without telling him, she packed up a container of his signature dish and brought it to the event. His dish won, the owner was blown away and immediately offered the job to his wife. She smiled and shook her head. "It wasn't me," she said, her voice filled with pride. "It was my husband." Reluctantly, he accepted the job. He was terrified, convinced he would fail at this too. But he didn't. He flourished. In the chaotic, high-pressure environment of a professional kitchen, he found his rhythm. Customers began lining up outside the restaurant, waiting for a table. Plates came back to the kitchen empty, wiped clean. Compliments poured in. The restaurant owner, seeing the demand, raised the prices and people still came. Food vloggers started featuring his dishes. Local news stations ran a story about the quiet, unassuming cook whose food carried so much soul. For the first time in over a decade, he felt useful. He felt whole. But then, just as he had found his footing, tragedy struck. Once again, it felt like the universe was taking everything away from him. That old feeling of helplessness, of being cursed, came rushing back. But this time, he wasn't alone in his fight. This time, someone stood up for him. From relatives, from former customers who missed his food, and from thousands of complete strangers who were moved by his story. Nearly 300,000 was raised. It was enough to reopen. They found a new location and named the restaurant Bounce Back. It became more successful than he ever could have imagined. The man who once blamed God for his misfortunes now found himself whispering different prayers in the quiet moments before the dinner rush. "Thank you," he'd say, "thank you, even for the failures." His story teaches us something profound. Failure does not mean you are useless. Sometimes rejection is not a punishment, it is a redirection. Sometimes the path you are so desperately trying to force open is not your path at all. Your true calling may not be what you planned, but it will always be where you can serve others with love and find your own joy. And sometimes you have to lose everything you thought you wanted to finally find who you were meant to be. Thanks for watching. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that inspires.